Hi, my name is Daniel Chavez, and my topic was drug abuse among American youth. Have you ever been offered drugs? By the 12th grade, about half of adolescents abuse an illicit drug at least once. The research question was, what are the factors that lead teens to become addicted to drugs in the United States? My thesis was, youth and teenagers are more likely to be exposed to drugs on a daily basis. Illicit drugs. This is a list of drugs that I found that were most popular in the United States, and this is their names and how they feel. So heroin, feeling of well-being. Crack cocaine creates hallucinations. Methamphetamine creates pleasure. Cocaine, increase in adrenaline. Marijuana, relaxing feeling and ecstasy. Excitement, or mostly used as a party drug. Background. So drugs were introduced into society around the 1940s. They were introduced because during World War II, many people were dying across in the war. So people used them to escape what was happening, to escape the pain. And people who used these drugs were seen as crazy or psychotic because they were so rare that no one used drugs back then. And these drugs appeared back here in the United States around the 1970s. Family issues. So if a children that has a family that are doing drugs and they're living around in an area that have drug abuse, that kid is going to grow up thinking, oh, okay, drugs are fine since my parents are doing it. Since they listen to what their parents do, they listen to what they tell them to do, they're going to be following their steps, thinking it's okay to do drugs, and making them more likely to end up doing drugs, following the same steps. Living in low-income areas. So living in a poor area increases how likely a teenager and children are to do drugs. Since the area is poor, not really many people pay attention to what's happening in the area. And it's easy accessible to kids because drug dealers don't really care how much money you have, how old you are, and they don't care if you're 10 years old, 20 years old. As long as you have money and you get paid, that's fine with them. And the drugs are cheaper to make and cheaper to buy also, so they'll stay in the same area. It doesn't really matter. Social media. Teens who post drugs on like MySpace, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram are also likely to be into drugs. Since they see their friends and classmates and family members posting about drugs, they're likely to end up trying the drug also because everyone's posting about it. They want to feel like, oh, I want to do this drug, I want to feel cool with them. So they end up wanting to try the drug. And people talk about it online all the time, so they want to be like, oh, I want to be part of this also. Television, media. So movies and television, Hollywood has glamorized drugs. They've been very popular in different upcoming movies, and since they're always used, kids watch movies and they'll be like, oh, okay, nothing's happening, so they end up wanting to try the drug. They see it as a normal thing to do. And in magazines also, when a celebrity is caught doing drugs, a kid's gonna see, oh, this person's doing drugs, I want to do it also. And radio also, because like music gets played on the radio, so kids are listening to music about drugs and how they make your life happy and all this stuff, so they're also being exposed to drugs. Peer pressure. So a teenager who has friends that are doing drugs, and let's say they go to a party and their friends are doing drugs and they're like, oh, okay, I want to do this drug. Everyone's doing it. And they get pressured into doing the drug because if they don't, they won't feel like they're cool enough to do it. The friends will pressure them into doing the drug. And according to the National Institute on Drug Abuse, about 50% of high school seniors do not think it's harmful to try crack or cocaine once or twice. And 40% believe it's not harmful to use heroin once or twice. Evidence. Once a drug is tried, the user will most likely want to try the drug again and again. since they like the feeling that the drug gave them, or also known as the high. They want to feel the same way that they did. So they want to experience a new high eventually. So let's say kids start smoking cigarettes, like, oh, I'm tired of this, everyone's doing something else. So eventually they'll try marijuana or any other drug. They'll get tired of that drug, but they'll eventually move on to a different drug. And the cycle will continue from drug to drug. The human brain, once the drug user keeps doing the drug, the brain adapts to the drug. Since the brain likes the feeling of, oh, this feeling is cool, I want to try it again, it'll feel like, oh, like it wants to do the same drug again. So let's say the person tries to stop doing drugs, and the brain feels like it can't stop because it's already used to the drug, it's already adapted to it, so it can't stop doing the drug. And they want to feel normal again, so they'll go back to the drug. And they'll have withdrawals from doing the drug also. Solution. A solution to help prevent the youth and teenagers from doing drugs is for the schools to educate the students and also parents. So it's up to the parents to educate their children about the drugs that are going on and how it can change your life. And it's up to the schools to have a class from middle school and in high school so they can be required to do the drug. So they won't do drugs, so they won't make the mistakes that other people are making. And many groups like their group, this group was very popular like 10 years ago, and it stands for Drug Abuse Resistance Education. And it pretty much educates people about the drug use and how it can change someone's life. The programs that are available, the DARE program, which I just talked about, intervention, when when a person is doing drugs and their family is getting affected also, so they want to be like, oh, yeah, it's not affecting you, but it's affecting us also because we're living with you and we want you to get your life back in order. And rehabilitation, which helps get the users off the drug and get them stay clean and get their life back together. My work side in. Are there any questions?
I know that one of the drugs was marijuana, and I have a question for you. Do you think it should be used for medical purposes?
Well, some people have like certain diseases that takes the pain away, so probably can be used for the medical.
And a follow-up question, wouldn't any other drugs just do the same effect?
What was that?
Wouldn't other drugs such as cocaine or heroin do the same effect?
Not really, because they all have, well, marijuana isn't really that addictive, and cocaine, it kills your brain cells, so.
What did you notice about the difference between like low-income areas versus richer areas? Because I know you talked about the low income.
So people that lived in low income were also more likely to do the drugs because since not really money was going into the area and there weren't really many programs to help educate the people, so they had less chance of being off the drugs since richer areas had more opportunity to be educated and get the drug off the streets.